An American gunship is over the Gulf of Oman. The crew is doing what AC-130 crews do, putting rounds on a target below. And then, according to a newly declassified intelligence report, the objects around the aircraft begin to move. Roughly 25 of them. The onboard infrared sensors register them not as hot exhaust plumes, but as something the report itself calls cold orbs. Speeds between about 250 and 1,300 miles per hour. Aggressive maneuvering. And after the aircraft fires its main cannon, the report says the objects appear to react. That footage was published on August 7th, 2026. Not leaked. Published by the United States government. The release is the fifth tranche of declassified records posted under the initiative the department has branded Pursue, hosted on the Department of War's public UAP page at war.gov/UFO. 41 files were added, covering incidents from 1950 through 2026, 3/4 of a century in a single upload. That framing matters. For decades, the pipeline for material like this was a leak, a lawsuit, or a Freedom of Information Act fight measured in years. This is the department curating and posting its own holdings, which is a genuine shift in posture and also a reminder that we are seeing what the department chose to release. The centerpiece is dated September 2021, and the platform is significant. The AC-130J Ghostrider is not a fighter with a single targeting pod. It is a flying sensor and weapons suite, a 105mm cannon, a 30mm chain gun, and a layered electro-optical and infrared package designed to hold a target for hours. 6 sensor videos accompany the report. Multiple sensors, one event. The geography is loaded too. The Gulf of Oman sits at the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most densely surveilled waterways on Earth, and in 2021, saturated with Iranian drone and maritime activity. Hold on the phrase cold orbs, because it is the report's own terminology, and it deserves precision. In infrared imagery, conventional aircraft and drones betray themselves through heat, engine exhaust, friction, a thermal bloom. Objects described as cold, appearing at those speeds, are being characterized as showing no such signature. That is what makes the wording interesting to analysts. But an infrared image is not a physics measurement. Polarity settings can invert apparent temperature. Optical artifacts, parallax and glare can create apparent motion. The report is an observational record reviewed by military personnel, not an independent determination of what these objects were. Then there is the detail that will dominate the conversation. The objects appearing to react to the aircraft firing. Be careful here. The report says they appeared to react. That is an observation of apparent correlation, recorded by people watching a screen in real time. It is not a finding of intent, awareness, or causation. Firing a 105mm cannon changes the acoustic, pressure, and thermal environment around an aircraft. It also changes what a sensor operator is looking at and when. If the correlation survives frame-by-frame analysis with time-stamped weapons release data, it becomes one of the more consequential entries in the entire government record. If the Ghostrider material is not alone in Tranche 5. There is a 2025 CENTCOM UAP report with electro-optical and infrared sensor footage from a US military platform. There is a 2002 account from Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan, placing an incident in the earliest months of that war. And there are FBI interview forms plus thermal video tied to first-hand accounts from 2026. That last item is notable for a structural reason. It puts a domestic federal law enforcement agency, not just the military, formally inside the UAP record, documenting witnesses through standard interview paperwork. None of this arrives without precedent. Spherical, featureless objects recorded on military infrared over the Middle East have circulated publicly since Jeremy Corbell's 2023 release of gunship footage from Iraq. The category is not new. What is new is the government publishing its own copies with its own analytic language attached. Set against the official statistics, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office logged 319 UAP reports in fiscal year 2025. Separately, and this is a distinct count measuring a different thing, ARO recorded 50 unmanned aircraft system notifications near nuclear sites in FY 2025, up from 18 the previous year. Two different populations. They are not added together, and one is not a subset of the other. So what would move this from remarkable to resolved? Radar correlation from another platform or a surface vessel? Sensor calibration and metadata, so range and therefore speed, can be independently derived rather than accepted. Time-stamped weapons release logs to test the reaction claim. Documented chain of custody, and analysis by people outside the chain that produced the assessment. The department's own framing is honest about this gap. These are observational records reviewed by military and federal personnel, not scientific validation of origin or nature. Everything in the file describes what sensors registered and what witnesses said, not what the objects were. The larger story may be procedural rather than sensational. Congress created a National Archives UAP records collection in the fiscal 2024 Defense Bill, after the Independent Review Board proposed in the original UAP Disclosure Act was stripped out. What Pursue demonstrates is that the executive branch can move material into the public domain without that mechanism, on its own schedule, with its own selection criteria. 41 files, 6 videos, roughly 25 objects the report calls cold orbs over one of the most watched stretches of water on the planet. The government has now told us what its sensors recorded. It still has not told us what they saw.